So I was reflecting on this question of criticism recently. It's one of the things that I struggle with as a mindfulness person, is a desire to criticize other people as well as to criticize myself. And I struggle with it for a variety of reasons. I know that in many ways, criticizing others isn't the best thing to do. And at the same time, it's something that I tend to do. I tend to sink into it. So there's specifically a Buddhist precept about this. The Buddhist precept says that I vow not to praise myself by criticizing others. And I think that that is a really good guide to what happens when we criticize other people. I think what typically happens when we are criticizing other people is that we are trying to make ourselves look better. And as I thought about this question of criticism, I realized that typically we're seeking three things when we criticize other people. So the first thing we're seeking typically is some sort of connection. So this happens when you have like kind of a bitching session or a griping session about a boss or somebody else. And so when that happens, we're trying to find that connection. And it's like, well, I don't like this thing and you don't like this thing, right? Like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But the problem is that often that doesn't really create connection. It's something called collusion in nonviolent communication, where you're agreeing that something else is bad. But it often doesn't allow the person really who's expressing that pain or that suffering that's being caused by an unfortunate situation really to feel heard and to feel like they have empathy. So it's a little tricky. The second reason why typically people seek out criticism as a strategy is they're looking for reassurance. So they want to be reassured that they're good people. And by making other people bad or bringing forth an idea or a concept that someone else is worse than they are, they're kind of wanting to get that reassurance. So they're saying to someone else, like, isn't this a really bad thing, right? And also are not really good for not being that way. And also reassurance is they're looking for is it's okay that I am judgmental, right? They feel something off by being judgmental. They want someone else to tell them like, oh yes, that's good. That's good. And the last reason why people get caught up in criticism is a desire to express an unmet need or an emotion that they don't know how to express in another way. So they might feel upset that someone's done something to them, or they might feel sad that something bad has happened, or someone's broken up with them or broken their trust. And so they express a criticism as a way to express that emotion in some sort of healthy way because they have no other option how to do that. And what's interesting is that when I looked at my own instances of criticizing other people in my own life, I found that in all of these instances, there's a tendency to put myself up above other people, to give myself some sort of relief from suffering. And it's very subtle, but the Buddhist precept of not praising yourself by criticizing others really pointed me to it. And I realized that when I seek to connect with others through criticism, part of it is there's this feeling of, oh, look at us, we're so much better than this other person. Oh, we're so much more sane, we're so much more rational, we're so much kinder than this other person. And so that feeling of like we're better together than this person who's different from us, that's kind of what's going on in that first one. And the second one of looking for reassurance, I'm looking for reassurance that I am a better person than this other person. I'm looking for reassurance that I am good and the other person's wrong, right? So there's that desire to put myself up, to praise myself. And then the last one, really looking for self-expression, right? It's a desire for me to say that my emotions are more important, or my perspective is more important than the perspective or the emotions or the situation the other person might have. So instead of trying to be understanding of their perspective, I want to feel like my perspective is better or the more right one. And that's why often criticism can feel very righteous. So the way that I have learned to work with external criticism is the first thing I do, the first practice I use is to hold my opinion lightly. It's a practice I use actually in a lot of different things. There's a light that's just about to fall, so if you hear a loud noise, that's what it is. So I use it for a lot of different things. When I'm having political discussions with people, or I'm having a disagreement, or maybe I'm trying to negotiate with a friend or my partner about a plan we're trying to have. I hold my opinion lightly. I see that my opinion is one opinion of 2 billion opinions in the world. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right one. It might matter most to me. It might feel really right to me, but it's just one opinion. And so that practice, I almost try to imagine my own opinion as this little point in space. And then I imagine the space all around it, right? You could even imagine your opinion as being this tiny point on space, and then zoom back and see that there's that tiny point on Earth, and then zoom back and see the Earth in this vast universe and galaxy, and realize that your opinion is just one little opinion in all of these opinions and all of the space in the universe. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't express your opinion or have an opinion. Having an opinion is, the same as having a mind. Having an opinion is just a natural part of that process. But it's important to realize that your opinion in context may or may not be right. And so the purpose of that exercise is to not hold on too tightly to your opinions, to be open about your opinions, to be clear about your boundaries or what you want or what you're expressing or what you're needing, but not to believe that that opinion is you, or that you are this solid object that has this opinion that can't be changed, because that will really do you a great disservice. The second practice is a practice of exchanging self with other. So this is a little bit more of an advanced practice. It's a complex Buddhist practice, but basically what you do is you try to step into the other person's perspective, the other person's shoes, and imagine how you appear to them. And you're not doing this to justify or explain away their feelings or say that what they're doing is okay, because it's very possible what they're doing isn't okay on a very objective level. But instead, you're just trying to look at the world from their shoes. So for example, I might want to go to a particular restaurant for dinner, and my partner might want to go someplace else. And so I could get really caught up in like, I really want Thai food tonight. This is what I want. I have to have it, right? And then I might look at my partner's perspective and try to understand what is it that she wants. And the first way I might do this is to ask her questions. Why don't you want Thai food? What do you want? What kind of needs does that meet for you? What about Thai food isn't appealing to you? What doesn't that satisfy in you? And to start to learn from her and understand what she's looking to get out of the meal. And then once I've done that, then I can begin to negotiate, but really start to understand. And then see if you can see things from her perspective, see things from the other person's perspective. Not forever, not permanently, but just to see it, right? Just so you can see that there's two perspectives in this instances. And that your action may be totally right, maybe the right one, but you can see there's two perspectives. Another great example of this is with bosses. Often the employees will think the boss is being a jerk, but the boss's boss is being a huge jerk to them and putting a ton of pressure on them. And so once they see like, oh, they're also in a really difficult situation, they're also trapped in this with me, it's easy to then see what's going on. That was definitely an example for me when I was a manager at a music venue. And I tried to be a really good manager of my employees, but I was often really stressed out. And it frustrated them, but a lot of them also saw that my bosses were really hard on me. And so when they were able to understand that context, they were able to be more forgiving of me and when I was less than skillful. If this is a person you can't actually talk to, the other option is just to imagine what it's like to be them for a little bit. One other way, if you need to amp it up a little bit, if the person is really hard to connect with, you might imagine that they're a child and imagine the kind of childhood they might have had or the kind of suffering or difficult experiences they might have had, and use that as a basis to exchange yourself with others. So I think that if you use these two practices, the practices of holding your opinion lightly and the practice of exchanging self and other, you're able to create some space around criticism that you might have of other people. And the last practice is actually the simplest and the one that's easiest to get started, and that's simply to notice when you're criticizing and just to acknowledge that. And to acknowledge that you may be using criticism to serve some sort of need, and look and see if there's another way to serve that need. So if you notice yourself criticizing over the next day, week, or hour, just pause, identify in yourself like, oh, this is criticism. I'm criticizing someone else. And ask yourself, what is it that you're hoping to get out of that criticism? What is it that you're hoping to achieve by being critical of another person? And if it's that you need reassurance or you need connection or you need to express an emotion, see that if you can choose to express that emotion, to find that connection or to get that reassurance in another way. Because what I find is when I can satisfy the need without engaging in this unskillful action, it does a couple things. One, it makes me more compassionate towards other people. And it actually is more satisfying. It's more satisfying to be heard, to feel connection. and to feel like you can express yourself without having to engage in criticism. That's definitely my experience, and I've seen that again and again with clients and my friends and everyone else. The same thing, if you notice someone else criticizing someone, see if you can help connect with that person without agreeing with the criticism, without feeding into the criticism. See if you can satisfy their needs, help them meet their needs without engaging in this type of behavior. Having said that, I have no doubt I will continue to criticize people, and I have no doubt that you will probably do the same. This is an ongoing practice. It's a lifelong practice, not something you have to perfect right now. But any chance you can take to create a little bit of space around that activity and create some awareness around it, that can be a huge step. So thanks so much for coming to this webinar. This is the last one of these type of webinars I'm going to do. I'm going to roll out something new in January. I have some exciting things coming in January. I have a 30-day challenge and kind of a kickoff, so keep your eyes and your emails open for that. Check that out. And always, if you do have any questions or something you'd like for me to cover on the blog, feel free to shoot me an email. I'd love to hear from you and find out how I can help you live a more mindful life to really find happiness in this hectic world we live in. Thanks a lot.